peace and love, and prosperity to the human family out there in the world. Today we'll be completing the Act of Algeciras, chapters 6 and 7, as well as going over other materials to include one of the chapters in the Circle 7 Quran that I think it's pertinent to our situation and our discussion. Without any further delays, I'll go ahead and get started with chapter 6, which is a declaration relative to public services and public works. What do you all think, anybody, including Isaac, because I think you know the answer to this. What do you guys consider public services and public works to be?
That'll be a police, fire department, social services, human services.
Exactly.
Schools.
Right. Utilities, telephone, railroads, the whole nines, right? The whole nine.
Well, basically infrastructure, right?
Basically, your infrastructure, your system, the system that maintains the integrity of domains of the state, and also that provides services for the nationals or the people of the land. And Article 105 goes with a view to assuring, which, by the way, Article 105 was invoked in the, I believe it's the 55-page document. Is that right, Isaac? Was that in the 55-page document or in both of them? Isaac, you heard what I asked? Kazi, can you hear me? If you're talking, you're on mute. You probably took a bathroom break. All right, Article 105. With a view.
Echo. Does anyone else hear echo? You have a little bit of echo.
I got some echo. I got echo, brother. You said I got echo.
Does anyone else hear echo?
Yeah, it's giving us an echo on you.
Oh, Lord. What about now?
You good now, Wazir.
I'm clear now?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. I appreciate that because I can't tell on my end. So y'all got to keep me straight whenever you hear some funny stuff or see some funny stuff, or if like the screen is not sharing, let me know. All right, Article 105. With a view to assuring the application of the principles of economic liberty without any inequality, right? So that's taking us into the third principle, which is why it's chapter 6, because it's dealing with the integrity of the domain of the state. That's why we're dealing with public services and public works. With a view to assuring the application of the principle of economic liberty without any inequality, the signatory powers declare that none of the public services in the Sharifian Empire can be alienated for the advantage of private interest. But that's what they're doing. You know, the public services is being operated by private individuals and not by the government. You know, like Georgia Power, that's not a state government thing. That's a private corporation amongst all the rest of them, which is going against Article 105, which gives us the authority to shut it down through the Moxin or the competent Moorish state. 106. In case the Sharifian government should invoke the aid of foreign capital or foreign industry for the working of public services or for the operation of public works, roads, railways, ports, telegraphs, and other public works, the signatory powers reserve to themselves the right to see to it that the authority of the state, uppercase S, over these great enterprises of general interest remains entire. So their job is to make sure that the public works and the public services, the railways, the roads, the ports, etc., are in good condition and in good operation, which I'll give them that. They have done a good job at doing that. Article 107, the validity of the concessions which may be made under the terms of Article 106, as well as for government supplies, shall throughout the Sharifian Empire be subordinated to the principle of public awards on proposals without preference of nationality whenever applicable under the rules followed in foreign laws. Article 108. As soon as the Sharifian government shall have decided to invite proposals for execution of public works, it shall so inform the diplomatic body. It shall later communicate to it the plans, specifications, and all documents annexed to the call for proposals in order to enable the nationals of all the signatory powers to form a clear idea of the contemplated works and compete for the same. A sufficient term for this shall be specified in the call for proposals. Article 109. The specifications shall not contain, either directly or indirectly, any condition or provision which may be prejudicial to free competition and which may give advantage to competitors of one nationality over those of another nationality. 110, Article 110. Contracts shall be awarded in the form and according to the general conditions prescribed by the regulations which the Sharifian government shall draw up with the assistance of the diplomatic body. So this stuff is under the control or the authority of the Sharifian government, who draws up the plans and the documentation and the contracts. The contract shall be awarded by the Sharifian government. So the Sharifian government will be awarding the contracts to the bidder who, while conforming himself to the specifications, shall have submitted the bid fulfilling the most advantageous general conditions. All right. Article 111. The rules of Article 106 to 110 shall be applied to concessions for working cork forest. I'm not sure what cork forest means. Working cork forest in accordance with the customary provisions in foreign laws. Article 112, the Sharifian firman shall determine the conditions of the concessions and the working of mines and quarries. So firman, we have seen firman in this document over and over, which means licensing. But let's look into the definition further. So I've already got it pulled up here. Can you see that screen? Let's see. Yeah, you should. Yeah, you should be able to see the definition for firman. A firman, which is a Persian word, at the constitutional level was a royal mandate or decree issued by a sovereign in an Islamic state. During various periods, they were collected and applied as traditional bodies of law. The word firman comes from Persian meaning decree or order. On a more practical level, a firman was and may still be any written permission granted by the appropriate Islamic official at any level of government. So you're dealing with government and states and politics when you're talking about a firman, and specifically an Islamic government or state. Westerners are perhaps most familiar with the permission to travel in a country, which typically could be purchased beforehand, or the permission to conduct scholarly investigation in the country, such as archaeological excavations. Firmans may or may not be combined with various sorts of passports. So firman is a document that's giving you permission to do something, i.e. licensing. And so if we go back to the treaty, it states, Article 112, the Sharifian firman or the Sharifian permit shall determine the conditions of the concessions and the working of mines and quarries. Why are we dealing with mines and quarries? Because we're digging up for gold and silver and other precious metals. In the composition of this firman, the Sharifian government shall be guided by foreign laws relating to such matters. Okay, so we'll be guided by foreign laws relating to such matters. What foreign laws? The laws of the signatory powers, depending on, I suppose, whomever the firman was furnished to. Okay, or whatever state the firman was furnished to. Article 113. If in the case mentioned in Article 106 to 112, it should become necessary to occupy certain property, its expropriation may be affected by various payment of a fair indemnity in conformity to the following rules. So I looked up expropriation. So let's go back to the other basic research so we can have an understanding. So you see here, it says expropriation, international law. That's how I looked it up. And it says, also known as a taking, an act by a government entity that substantially deprives a foreign investor of its ownership, control, or economic benefit in an investment or property located in the governmental entity's jurisdiction, right? So it's a taking, also known as a taking, or an act by a governmental entity that substantially deprives a foreign investor or a foreign government of its ownership, control, or economic benefit in an investment or property located in the governmental entity's jurisdiction.
I thought when they heal up, come back, so I can just take little spots up on it. That might,
Brother Fahim, I think you're gonna have to mute yourself, good brother, if you don't mind, please. And so now we know what the expropriation is. I apologize, that's a tough word there. So let's go back. So expropriation can only be effected on the ground of public utility, and when this necessity for the same shall have been ascertained. Well, that was, okay, hold on, let me go back. It was Article 113. If in the cases mentioned in Articles 106 to 112, it should become necessary to occupy a certain property. Its expropriation may be affected by previous payment of a fair indemnity in conformity to the following rules. 114. Expropriation can only be affected on the ground of public utility when necessity for the same shall have been ascertained by any administrative investigation, the formalities of which shall be determined by Sharifian regulations. What is that? What is Sharifian regulations? Regulations, that would be another form of saying legislation, the pen. Sharifian regulations drawn up with the assistance of the diplomatic body. That's been repeated once again. Article 115, if the property holders are Moorish subjects, his Sharifian Majesty shall take the necessary measures that no hindrance shall impede the execution of works that he shall have declared to be of public utility. So that's a protection that Moorish subjects have, if they're Moorish subjects who are holders of property. Article 116, and what are Moorish subjects? Can anybody tell me what's a Moorish subject? Easy question.
A Moor that has not been properly nationalized within a provincial state government underneath the Moroccan Empire.
Correcto. A citizen, a Negro, Black, colored, African American, Moorish American, Indian, Aboriginal, Indigenous American, etc. 116, if the owners are foreigners, the method of expropriation shall be as follows. In case of disagreement between the competent administration and the owner of the property to be expropriated, the indemnity shall be fixed by a special jury, or if the occasion arises, by arbitration, right? So you have to go through, so the first aspect that they're discussing is mediation, and then finally arbitration, the due process of law. Article 117, this jury shall be composed of 6 expert appraisers, 3 to be selected by the owner, 3 by the administration desiring to expropriate. A majority vote shall rule. If there be no majority, the owner and the administration shall each appoint an arbitrator, and the 2 arbitrators shall name an umpire. In case no agreement can be reached in selecting an umpire, he shall be appointed by the diplomatic body at Tangier. So today, that umpire would be who? Who would be the umpire today? Can anyone answer that one? Because remember, this is in 1906, we're in 1945 now. Who would be the umpire or the middleman or the arbitrator for any disputes?
France.
That's
The United Nations.
That's correct, the United Nations. It would be the United Nations. obviously consular court comes first. And if it doesn't prevail, then United Nations / the ICJ. Okay, where was I? This jury shall be composed of 6 experts. I already read that. Article 18, that's where I'm at. The arbitrators shall be selected from a list drawn up at the beginning of each year by the diplomatic body, and they shall be selected as far as possible from experts not living within the district in which the work is to be carried out. So you cannot be in the same jurisdiction or the same town or the same city. You have to be foreign to that jurisdiction. I guess that's what makes it fair and balanced. Article 119, the owner may appeal, and Article 19 has been addressed in the France versus United States, or not addressed, right here, Article 119. It was referenced, that's the word I was looking for. So the articles from the active Algeciras in the France versus United States case, those articles was 19, 23, 24, 25, 29, 45, 59, 80, 81, 87, 91, 101, 102, and 119. Okay, going back to it. So 119 says that the owner may appeal from the arbitrator's decision to a competent jurisdiction. What is the competent jurisdiction? Consular court. And in accordance with the rules set for arbitration cases by the law of the country to which he belongs. Okay, so that's it for chapter 6. That was a pretty short one. I told you all it would. Now, chapter 7, which is the general provisions. Article 120, with a view to harmonizing its legislation, if the occasion arises, with the engagements contracted under the present General Act, each of the signatory powers engages to take the necessary steps leading to the enactment of such legislation as may be necessary so far as it is concerned. What is that saying? That those signatory powers got to enact legislations in harmony with the present conference, which is the Act of Algeciras. Okay, and that's what we have to do too. Once we accede to the treaties, we have to enact legislations to accept it as our own internal laws. Article 121. The present General Act shall be ratified, here goes the instructions, shall be ratified according to the constitutional laws of each state. The ratifications shall be deposited at Madrid. Today, it's the United Nations. The ratification shall be deposited at Madrid as soon as practicable, and at the latest by December 31st, 1906. You'll notice that all these treaties are repetitive. They say the same thing, especially in the general provisions of all of them. The general provisions appears to be the instructions on what to do with said treaty or convention or whatever international agreement. A process verbal shall be made of such deposit, and a certified copy sent to each of the signatory powers through the diplomatic channel. That's what we discussed last Wednesday. That's what were we talking? The rights of indigenous people. They have the same type of instructions, and this is older than the rights of indigenous people, which came out in 2007. This came out in 2006, almost pretty much 100 years later, right? Article 122. The present General Act shall enter into effect as soon as all the ratifications shall have been deposited, and at the latest on December 31st, 1906. In case the special legislative measures, which may be necessary in certain countries to ensure the application to their nationals living in Morocco of certain stipulations of this present General Act shall not have been enacted by the date fixed for ratification. These stipulations shall only become applicable in respect to them after the legislative measures above referred to shall have been promulgated. Article 23. And last, all treaties, conventions, and arrangements of the signatory powers with Morocco remain in force. It is understood, however, that in case of conflict between their provisions and those of the present General Act, the stipulations of the latter shall prevail. So the Treaty of Peace and Friendship, the Act of Algeciras, the Treaty of Peace and Friendship, the Treaty of Madrid, Right of Protection in Morocco, and all the other treaties that the signatory powers have, or multilateral treaties that the signatory powers have with Morocco, remain in force. However, if there's a conflict in provisional conflict between any of them, the Act of Algeciras supersedes all of them. That's what that's saying. So basically, it's literally saying that the Act of Algeciras is the treaty of all treaties in Morocco. That's the supreme law of the land, above them all, though they all remain in force, including Treaty of Madrid, Article 15. That remains in force, despite the attempt to try to make it obsolete. Jay Bay sent me an email clarifying that position, which I had already read it. We had already read it, actually, because we went over it in the Treaty of Madrid class. It's in the footnotes of the treaty, where it discusses that the king in Morocco and the United States came together to try to basically omit that particular provision, taking away our right to nationality, which in that case, then it's repugnant to, first of all, just cogence, which is the preemptory norms of, human rights and state rights. But not only that, but also the rights of indigenous people, in which it states in Article 6 that all indigenous people have a right to a nationality. So you were going against those provisions by trying or making an attempt to remove or omit Article 15, because Article 15 gives us the authority and the salvation, right, to reclaim our nationality through Morocco. Okay, so what was that? Yes, in faith wherefore or whereof the delegates plenipotentiary have signed the present general act and have affixed their seal thereto, done at Algeciras this 7th day of April 1906, in a single copy, which shall remain deposited in the archives of the government of His Catholic Majesty, and of which is Rome, and of which certified copies shall be transmitted through the diplomatic channels to the signatory powers. Right, so Rome was in charge with the act of transmitting these documents, certified copies of the documents, the ratified documents, to all the signatory powers through diplomatic channels. Same thing we see in all the rest of the treaties. So who are the powers? Once again, Germany, Austria, Belgium, Spain, United States of America, with reservation of the declaration made in the plenary session of the conference in April 7th. France, of course, Great Britain, Italy, Morocco, Netherlands, Portugal, Russia, and Sweden. On the point, additional protocols. On the point of signing the General Act of the Conference of Algeciras, the delegates of Germany, Austria, Hungary, Belgium, Spain, the United States of America, France, Great Britain, Italy, the Netherlands, Portugal, Russia, and Sweden, taking into account the declaration of the delegates of Morocco that they were not for the present in position to affix their signatures thereto, they being unable, owing to the distance, to receive an early reply from His Sharifian Majesty concerning the points in regard to which they deemed it their duty to refer to him, reciprocally engaged by virtue of their respective full powers to unite their efforts towards the ratification of the said General Act in its entirety by His Sharifian Majesty, and towards this simultaneous enforcement of the reforms therein provided, which are interdependent. They therefore agreed to charge His Excellency Mr. Malmusi, Minister of Italy to Morocco, and Dean of the Diplomatic Corps at Tangier, to take the necessary steps to that end by calling the attention of His Majesty the Sultan to the great advantages that his empire would derive from the stipulations adopted at the conference by the unanimous action of the signatory powers. The adhesion given by His Sharifi Majesty to the General Act of the Conference of Algeciras shall be communicated through the government of His Catholic Majesty to the government of the other signatory powers. This adhesion shall be same force as if the delegates of Morocco had affixed their I'm back. This thing is driving me crazy. Oh Lord, I hate it. Okay, let me share it again and finish up the reading. All right. Okay. So as I was finishing off, the adhesion given by His Sharifi Majesty to the General Act of the Conference of Algeciras shall be communicated through the government of His Catholic Majesty to the governments of the other signatory powers. This adhesion shall have the same force as if the delegates of Morocco had affixed their signatures to the General Act and will take the place of ratification by His Sharifi Majesty. In witness whereof, the delegates of Germany, Austria, Hungary, Belgium, Spain, the United States of America, France, Great Britain, Italy, the Netherlands, Portugal, Russia, and Sweden have signed the present additional protocols and affixed their seals thereto. And that completes the reading for the Act of Algeciras official documents. We'll go over that real quick. Done at Algeciras on the 7th day of April, 1906, in a single copy, which shall remain filed in the archives of the government of His Catholic Majesty, and of which certified copies shall be delivered to the signatory powers through the diplomatic channel. And as we see here again, Germany, Austria, Belgium, Spain, etc. So those are the signatory powers. And we're done with the Act of Algeciras, which took a while. So we discussed firman expropriation. Now let's look at this map. Has anyone ever seen this map, or at least examined it? Do you see something here? Where is Morocco, the Kingdom of Morocco? Oh, it's not being shared.
Where's the map?
Exactly, it's not being shared. I just noticed. Share screen. There you go. Can you see it now? Don't play with me. All right. Can we see it now?
Yes, we can see.
All right. Do you see Morocco? I got it. Do you see my cursor? That's Morocco. So you got Mauritania, you got Morocco up here, Spain, France. Is there another way to, let's see if I can zoom in a little bit more. Here's what I'll do.
That's the map that shows you we really ain't that far away from Africa. Northeast.
It's really not. We'll put up another. There we go.
They use all those flight hours just to charge people. Really don't take nothing but a few hours to get there.
Oh, come on. Exactly, bro. What happened? There's nothing to show here. Did I zoom it up too much? You see it there now. Nope, you don't see it. Technology is not always all that, bro. Okay, let's try this again. Stop. Okay, let's share it again. Thank you. All right, Pangea. Okay, can you see that? No, you can't. You're still seeing my folder.
That's correct.
All right. All right, so you're seeing it now.
Yes.
Okay, So you see Algeria. So the top left corner of Algeria is hard to read it, but the top left corner of Algeria says Morocco. And if you see, Morocco is very much stuck to, you know, Boston, New York, Philadelphia. There's some water there in between, but it's still together nonetheless. Same as Mauritania, right? The Ivory Coast, all the stuff was connected to the western side of the map, right? Brazil, you see how Brazil goes into South Africa, etc. So this is the time where we begin. This was called a Mexum, right? Pangea is a misnomer, just like everything else. It was actually called the Mexum. And therefore, this right here that everyone sees as the United States is Northwest Mexum, or also Northwest Africa, because that was also the other name for this Pangea. So that would make North America, Northwest Mexum, or Northwest Africa. So when they talk about Morocco in Northwest Africa, it's a confusing discussion for most if you don't have the history locked in your mind, because you're going to think Northwest Africa by itself, the continent as we know as Africa by itself. But in all actuality, Northwest Africa goes all the way to what's commonly known today as North America, meaning that Morocco in Alkebulan today was once connected to North America today, which makes it the complete entire empire. It broke apart at some point. The great earthquake that caused the Atlantic Ocean, making Morocco, whereas Africa and Morocco in Africa, the kingdom ended up on the apart, let's put it that way, further apart into the east side of the world, and we remain on the west side of the world. But it doesn't change the fact that this is still the empire. And therefore you would find a term called Al-Maghrib Al-Aqsa, which means Morocco of the farthest west, the greater Morocco of the farthest west. That's regarding North America, which includes all of this. It's not taking me all the way through, all the way down North America, South, Central America, and South America, misnomered. The correct term would be Morocco, Northwest Mexum, Southwest Mexum, and the islands. Now, how do we identify that? Right here. Circle 7 Quran. Circle chapter 47. Is my screen still sharing? Is my screen still currently sharing the Circle 7 Quran?
Yes.
Good. Let's read it. You want to read, Brother Amir, since you're all over the mic?
Okay. Let me enlarge it. The inhabitants of Africa are the descendants of the ancient Canaanites from the land of Canaan. Old man Cush and his family are the first inhabitants of Africa who came from the land of Canaan. His father Ham and his family were were second. Then came the word Ethiopia, which means the demarcation dominion of a Mexum, the first true and divine name of Africa.
Hold on. Repeat that. Read that again. You didn't read it all because the screen wasn't sharing it properly. I had to center it. Repeat number 3 again, please.
Number 3, his father Ham and his family were second. Then came the word Ethiopia, which means the demarcation line of the dominion of a Mexum, the first true and divine name of Africa, the dividing of the land between the Father and the Son.
So one side is the father, the other side is the son, right? So the inhabitants of Africa are the descendants of the ancient Canaanites from the land of Canaan. Anytime you're talking about ancient, you're definitely going all the way back to when the world was one as Pangea. Old man Cush and his family are the first inhabitants of Africa who came from the land of Canaan. His father Ham and his family were second. Then came the word Ethiopia, which means the demarcation line of the dominion of a Mexican. The first true and divine name of Africa, the dividing of the land between the father and the son. Who's the father and the son? Old man Cush and Ham, I believe. Yes, Old man Cush and Ham. That's the father and the son. You can continue to 4.
No problem. The dominion of Kush, northeast and southeast Africa, and northwest and southwest was his father's dominion.
Okay, hold that thought. Okay, hold that thought. So what he said, his father Ham and his, the dominion of Cush, northeast and southeast Africa. Go back to the.
Oh, disappeared.
Oh no, I was trying to go back to that map, but that map won't do us justice. Let's go to another map, so we can make the picture clear in our heads. World map. Anyone, it doesn't matter. So we can identify the regions that the prophet was talking about. Okay. All right. Can we? No, we can't see that. Let's go to images. That's a good one. I'm looking for a good map here that we can utilize. Okay. All right, so what does it say? Let's go back. Okay, so it says the dominion of Cush, northeast and southeast Africa. So you see, northeast and southeast Africa is Egypt. Can you all see that? It's probably hard for you all to see. So anyhow, northeast, so we're talking about, it's not really just northeast and southeast Africa as it relates to the land of the land commonly known as Africa today. You see what I'm looking at? It says Russian Federation. That's northeast Africa. Australia, that's southeast Africa. So from northeast to southeast Africa and everywhere in between, that's who? Old man Cush's dominion, or the dominion of Cush, northeast and southeast Africa. And northwest and southwest Africa was his father's dominion of Africa. Okay. That's this over here. Northwest, southwest Africa. You follow what I'm saying? You have to put an image to it so we can have a clear understanding. Otherwise, we'll just be looking at this, which is our Alkebulan, right? The area that we commonly know today or refer to as Africa. But the whole world was Africa. So if the whole world was Africa, then that means that northwest and southwest Africa is northwest, is North America and South America. Am I correct? Does anyone have any rejections to that?
No, that's why we are called here in Northwest Mexico.
That's exactly correct. And then northeast and southeast starts up here, all of Russia. What was his name? Alexander Putin. Alexander Putin is was a Russian Moor who taught the language to the inhabitants of Russia. He brought the term, the language, the Russian language to Russia. His name is Alexander Putin. Look him up. He was a Moor. So this is northeast, southeast, northwest, southwest. All right, back to the reading. You continue, brother. Start off at number 4.
Number 4. Okay, the dominion of Kush, northeast and southeast Africa, and northwest and southwest was his father's dominion of Africa. Number 5. In later years, many of their brethren from Asia and the Holy Lands joined them. Number 6. The Moabites from the land of Moab, who received permission from the pharaohs of Egypt to settle and inhabit Northwest Africa.
Okay,
They
pause right there.
Okay.
So the Moabites from the land of Moab, who received permissions from the pharaohs of Egypt to settle and inhabit what? Northwest Africa. Again, this is Northwest Africa. Specifically up here. Canada, United States, Al-Aqsa. You know, it's funny, you can't even spell Alaska without Al-Aqsa. It's the reason why there's so many Islamic names for the so-called states, like Alabama, Alibamu, right? Tallahassee, you can even spell Allah without Tallahassee, like Allah is in Tallahassee, et cetera, et cetera. A lot of these names are Islamic names. A lot of the Choctaw, Chickasaw, these are Islamic Arabic type terms. And it all exists right here in Northwest Africa, northwest of Mexico. Continue, brother. And they were?
Okay, they were the founders and are the true possessors of the present Moroccan Empire.
Read that again.
Okay, they were the founders and are the true possessors of the present Moroccan Empire.
So this book, the Circle 7 Quran, came out in 1913, or in that time frame. Who knew that term? Moroccan Empire. None of us did. We were in darkness, because remember, the prophet came to us in darkness to bring us back into marvelous light. So he was the very first person to remind us of the Moroccan Empire and the present Moroccan Empire at that. The Moabites, that's why we call the sister story, like Sister Story, she would be a Moabitess, Sister Shira, Moabitess. The Moors, the brothers, we are Moab, right? So you'll hear brothers say, what's up, peace, Moab, Islam, Moab, or Moabitess for the sisters, right? We are the Moabites, the ancient Moabites. The Moabites from the land of Moab, which by the way, you can't even spell more without Mo, M-O, and that's how we used to address each other, peace, Islam, Mo, you know. The Moabites from the land of Moab, who received permission from the pharaohs of Egypt to settle and inhabit the Northwest Africa, Northwest Africa. They were the founders and are the true possessors of the present Moroccan Empire. The present Moroccan Empire. So when the prophet said the present, he was saying that in 1913. Obviously, he didn't say this in the BC time frame. He said it in 1913. So presently, as of 1913, the true possessors were the Moab, or the Moabites, or the Moabites, I should say. The true possessors of the present Moroccan Empire are the Moabites. Okay, so then when you go and you look at can you all still hear me? Am I? All right, I'm back. Oh goodness, this is so annoying. I don't know what I'm gonna do about this, y'all, but y'all please be patient with me. Okay, all right, back to where I was. Okay, all right, so what I was going over is the present. So at the time of the writing, which is when the prophet was here in 1913, the present Moroccan Empire is as of 1913, and the true possessors are the Moabites, the ancient Moabites. Why am I making that point clear? The reason why I'm making that point clear is because basically as of somewhere in the range of 1880, It had the seat of the Sultan had already been whitewashed. Okay, we were dealing with the pale Arabs, right? Those who don't look like us, those who have basically cheated the throne. Even though, with that being said, they still had treaties the treaties were still to our advantage. But the point is up until the time of the prophet, it had already been whitewashed. It had already been paled out. It had already been light-skinned out. No more dark sultans and emperors and kings and queens, etc. But if you go back to the ancient times of the true possessors, when it was originally founded, it was founded by the Moabites. And who are the Moabites? The dark-skinned, Asiatic, melanated people. Keeping in mind also that there was no other peoples on the planet during the time of the establishment of the Moroccan Empire. That's why in the 101s, the prophet says that the Moorish flag has been flying over here over 10,000 years. That's pretty daggone ancient. He also said that time never was when man was not. That's in chapter 1 of this same book. Okay, continue, brother. With there.
Okay, let me hit it. Okay, with there, a Canaanite, Hittite, and Amorite brethren who sojourned from the land of Canaan, seeking new homes. Number 7, their dominion and habitation extended from northeast, southwest Africa, across Great Atlantis, even unto the present North, South, and Central America, and also Mexico and the Atlantis Islands before the great earthquake, which caused the great Atlantic Ocean.
There you go. So their dominion and habitation extended from northeast, back to the map, northeast to southwest, all the way over across the Atlantic Ocean into the present, North, South, and Central America. What is that telling you? Is that not showcasing that the entire world is Morocco?
That's correct.
The prophet wasn't playing in games. Their dominion and habitation extended from northeast and southwest Africa across Great Atlantis, even onto the present North, South, and Central America, and also Mexico and the Atlantis Islands before the great earthquake, which caused the Great Atlantic Ocean. What is he talking about? Pangea, when the world was together, that I just showed you guys. Continue, brother.
Okay. Number 8, the river Nile was dredged and made by the ancient pharaohs of Egypt in order to trade with the surrounding kingdoms. Also, the Niger River was dredged by the great pharaoh of Egypt in those ancient days for trade, and it extends eastward from the river Nile westward across the Great Atlantic. It was used for trade and transportation.
Okay, so what is it saying? Dredged. It was made, created. It's not a natural occurrence. The Nile River, right? The Nile River and the Niger River. Neither one of those are natural events. They were all man-made. So when it was Pangea, it was Nile River connected to the Mississippi. The Mississippi and the Nile River was one river. And this discussion that the prophet is having with us is dealing with the ancient times when the world was together as one before the great earthquake. So that means that all of Nile, which includes the Mississippi, was all one river and it was all man-made. What was the purpose in it? In order to trade with surrounding kingdoms. And also the Niger River was dredged by the great pharaohs of Egypt in those ancient days for trade. And it extends eastward from the river, river Nile, westward across the great Atlantic. It was used for trade and transportation. And those aren't the only rivers. Basically, all the rivers have been dredged. We created basically almost all the rivers, all those bodies of water, not the ocean, but the rivers, creeks, things of that nature. There's a lot of things in nature that appears to be done by nature, but it wasn't. It was created by us in our ingenuity back in the days when we were in power. So that was a powerful lesson to learn right there, that the Nile River and the Niger River were both actually created by the pharaohs. Good, continue, brothers. Brother number 9.
Okay. I gotta enlarge it a little bit. Okay, number 9. According to all true and divine records, okay. According to all true and divine records of the human race, there is no Negro, Black, or colored race attached to the human family, because all the inhabitants of Africa were and are of the human race. Oh, you dropped off. You minimized it.
I didn't minimize it.
But something's going on. Okay. Because all the inhabitants of Africa were and are of the human race, descendants of the ancient Canaanite nation from the Holy Land of Canaan.
Okay. According to all true and divine records of the human race, there is no Negro, Black, or colored race attached to the human family, because all the inhabitants of Africa were and are of the human race, descendants of the ancient Canaanites, nation from the Holy Land of Canaan. So that's where we get the understanding. This is where he started with the understanding of there are no Negroes, Blacks, and coloreds in humanity. Okay, people don't go by crayons, right? We go by nationality, national standing. The people are usually named after the land. Brazil, Brazilian, Korean, Korea, Nigeria, Nigerian, Panama, Panamanian, Morocco, Moroccan, or more. Continue, brother.
Number 10, what your ancient forefathers were, you are today without doubt or contradiction.
Without doubt or any contradiction, what your ancient forefathers were, you are today. Period. Without any doubt or contradiction. So what are your ancient forefathers? What was their nationality? At least up until the latter times of our reign, it was Moroccan. That's why he says that you're a Moroccan born in America, but something happened there with the term Moorish American as it relates to, I think it's question 14 of the 101s, when he says that, why are you Moorish American? Because you're descendants of Moroccans born in America. That contradicts this. Because if whatever your ancient forefathers were, you are today, then that means that if my ancient forefathers were Moroccans, then I'm still Moroccan. It doesn't change my nationality to become now a Moorish American. I'm a Moroccan. We're all Moroccans. Furthermore, we were also lawgivers and law enforcers. We operated governments. We operated we established and built civilizations and governed those civilizations. That's what our ancient forefathers were. There were kings, there were sultans, there were prime ministers, they were waziralrais, there were qazis, chief judges. These titles are not there just for play or just for luxury, right? It's an actual thing that our ancient forefathers and foremothers were involved in. And so when the Bible says, honor thy foremothers and forefathers so that thy days on planet Earth be long as God has given thee, or something like that. I know I'm butchering the quote, but you know what I'm saying. It comes back to this point, the number 10 point, where it says what your ancient forefathers were, you are today without any doubt or contradiction, which means you must honor them. How else are you expected to honor your foremothers and forefathers? Study the treaties, because the treaties was written by your ancient foremothers and forefathers. Now, granted, the later treaties were done by a lighter sultan, but it's still to our benefit, and it still comes from the spirit of our ancestors, because he's sitting in the seat of our ancestors. So these are all more the reasons for us to look into statehood, international law, because our ancient foremothers and forefathers partook in statehood and international law. Continue, brother. Number 11.
Number 11, there's no one who is able to change man from the descendant. Excuse me, let me start over. Number 11, there is no one who is able to change man from the descendant nature of his forefathers unless his power extends beyond the great universal creator Allah himself. Number 12, these holy.
Hold on. So they attempted to do so. They tried. It was an attempt made to change our descendant nature, right? What is that called? Naturalization Act. We were naturalized and turned into Negroes, Blacks, colored African Americans. We were denationalized. And it says here, there is no one who is able to change man from the descendant nature of his forefathers, unless his power extends beyond the great universal creator, Allah himself. So what they did it through the pen, right? Through legislation. To change that around, we have to do it through the pen, through legislation. Continue, good brother. Number 12.
Number 12, these holy and divine laws are from the prophet, Noble Drew Ali, the founder of the Uniting of the Moorish Science Temple of America. Number 13, these laws are to be strictly preserved by the members of all the temples of the Moorish Science Temple of America, that they will learn to open their meeting and guide it according to the principles of love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. Number 14, every subordinate temple of the Grand Major Temple is to,
What happened?
every time I try to enlarge it, it drops back down.
Oh, okay.
Okay, it's doing it again.
You want me to finish the reading? Is it?
Okay, I'm gonna try it one more time. Okay, here we go. Number 14, every subordinate temple of the Grand Major Temple is to form under the covenant of love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice, and to create their own laws and customs in conjunction with the laws of the Holy Prophet and the Grand Temple. I, the Prophet, Noble Drew Ali, was sent by the great God, Allah, to warn all Asiatics of America to repent from their sinful ways before that great and awful day that is sure to come.
What is the what is the? Can anyone elaborate on what is the sinful ways? How were we in sin? Can anyone elaborate on that?
By clinging to the slave names that the colonists gave us and praying to their gods.
That's one answer. There's another one I was looking for, but that's very close. What is sin?
It's ignorance
There you go.
and unknowing.
Mhm.
And,
Ignorant. Mhm.
departing from the God Allah.
Through ignorance and unknowing and lack of knowledge.
Mm-hmm.
But more specifically, what in the time when he came to save us from our sins, what were we in sin about? Meaning, what were we ignorant about?
Who we truly are.
Self.
That man and God are one.
That's one answer. That God and man is one, true indeed. However, there's another answer. What else were we ignorant about?
Ourself.
Ourselves, and who we were, and who our ancient foremothers and forefathers were, and the things that we've done, our customs, our divine creed, our nationality, our titles, our fezes and turbans, our flag. I mean, what's the greatest sin to not even know your flag? Like, gracious, that's sinful to not know your flag that was flying over you 10,000 years before the colonizer showed up. So we were in sin based on the fact that we had absolutely no knowledge of ourselves, who we were, who our ancestors were, what our flag was, what our customs were, what our culture was, our divine creed. We were in absolute blissful ignorance as Negroes, Blacks, and colored. Go ahead.
And in chapter 1, it says, man debased himself.
Man debased himself. Exactly. And so the prophet came to bring us, his job was a job well done, and it was simply to bring, and it ain't simple, but it was simply to bring us to square one, which is at least knowing who you are. So that's why he said, I brought everything you need to save, everything needed to save a nation, take it and save yourselves. It might have been, that statement might have even been backwards. I brought you everything it takes to save yourselves, now take it and save the nation. That makes a little bit more sense to me. You understand? But that's the reason, because we were in darkness. So he brought us into light, into marvelous light. What is the marvelous light? Who we are. What is our customs? What is our culture? What is our divine creed? Islamism, right? The fez, our national headdress, the turban, the cherry tree. What is the cherry tree? Anybody knows what the cherry tree is?
The flag, the mother flag.
The mother flag.
Yeah, the 5-point star with the a red background.
That's what, remember this, y'all remember the allegory of George Washington chopping down a cherry tree.
Right.
Yeah, that's what it was referring to, the Moorish flag. And they erected the banner in its place, right? So they chopped down the cherry tree behind it. He really ultimately chopped it down by denationalizing us, right? And so number 14, every subordinate temple of the Grand Major Temple is to form under the covenant of love, true peace, freedom, and justice, and to create their own laws and customs. They haven't been doing that. And they're limited to that anyway, because they're still under the jurisdiction of the United States, whether as a 501c3 or an 805, you're still under the jurisdiction of the United States, which means you're still subjugated, which means you're restrained in what you can and cannot do. You don't have free reign. Somebody said, oh, the prophet came in and established our own jurisdiction. Not really. It's like a reservation, if you will. And the reservations are still under the federal government's jurisdiction, okay? In conjunction with the laws of the Holy Prophet and the Grand Temple. I, the prophet, Noble Drew Ali, was sent by the great God, Allah, to warn all Asiatics of America to repent from their sinful ways before that great and awful day that is sure to come. So we needed to come into statehood eventually before what awful day? It's coming. We've seen what happened with the fake queen, but that had already happened in 2020, and unbeknownst to a lot of people. She was one of the first to catch COVID, and went in what they called self-quarantine. You're gonna leave Buckingham Palace to go and self-quarantine where? Because there is no cleaner and more safer place to be than Buckingham Palace. So why are you going? How did you get it, first of all? How in the world? I hadn't even got it, and I'm just some black dude, right, quote unquote, from the streets. And the corona bypasses me and it goes straight to the queen, to the point where she's got a self-quarantine. It's a staged event. The whole pandemic thing was exactly that. A pandemic was a staged event. Tom Hanks got it. All these people got it. And it's like, how do y'all get it? And the average person is still kicking it. There was something very suspicious about that. I did some research, uncovered some things, but that's for another class. Continue, brother, number 15.
Okay, number 15. The time has come when every nation must worship under its own vine and fig tree, and every tongue must confess his own.
Okay, question. The time has come when every nation must worship under its own vine and fig tree. What is your own vine and fig tree?
Your own flag,
And what else?
your own constitution, your own seal.
Islam. He said this back in 1913. The time has come when every nation must worship under its own vine and fig tree, and every tongue must confess his own. We must confess our own through legislation. The prophet was dropping jewels without being direct, man. In hindsight, when you go back, once you study international law and these treaties and start understanding these principles, and you go back into the prophet's literature, you start seeing some things. It's like, yo, he was saying some stuff without saying it, you know, because you see it right there. Continue. You see how you was able to pick up on it. But if you hadn't been studying international law and statehood, then you wouldn't have been able to pick up on that. You know, what do you mean, vine and victory? You know, you might have been able, maybe you could kind of come close to the understanding, but you have a clear understanding now that you're studying international law and statehood. Continue, brother, number 16.
Number 16, through sin and disobedience. God, dog it. Okay, there we go. Number 16, through sin and disobedience, every nation has suffered slavery due to the fact that they honor not the creed and principles of their forefathers.
We had not been honoring the creed and the principles of our forefathers. And we still aren't today. Even more with fezzes. Just because you're wearing a fez is not sufficient enough to say that you're honoring your foremothers and forefathers. You know how you honor your foremothers and forefathers? Establish governments. Establish states. Write up a constitution. We all know that the colonizers adopted our constitutions, the Iroquois Confederation Constitution, which means we used to write constitutions, which means we've already had a constitution. Okay, so then the question is, where is our constitution today? I'll wait. Crickets. There's only 3 groups that can answer that. AMPAG, and New Mecca. Who else has a constitution that has been, and not just a constitution, that hasn't been ratified, promulgated, and deposited? There's other states, there's other organizations that has constitutions. But the latter word that I mentioned, organization, also have constitutions. The Morris Ensemble of America has constitution and bylaws, but that's an organization, and that constitution has never been ratified, and it definitely haven't been promulgated or deposited. So all the other constitutions that's out here, have they been ratified? Because there are other constitutions out here, but not as far as I'm aware, there's no provincial state flag, right? They're all using the Moorish flag as their main flag and as the mother flag and the provincial state flag, which is not the way of international law. But the question again is, yes, we have constitutions. CM Bay had a constitution. It was already a constitution. It wasn't ratified, promulgated, or deposited. According to international law, according to 102 of the United Nations Charter, you have to ratify, deposit, promulgate, and deposit your constitution in order for that emanating document to officially establish the government under organic means as a de jure state government. So through sin and disobedience, what is the sin? Again, ignorance. Every nation has suffered slavery due to the fact that they honored not the creed and principles of their forefathers. Why did they not honor the creed and principles of their forefathers? Because they were in sin. Sin of what? Ignorance of the creed and principles of their foremothers and forefathers. Yet we know that we're kings and queens. We know that we're heads of states, but we won't establish anything other than associations, organizations, websites, structures, organizational structures that falls under the jurisdiction of the United States, which is then a lack of autonomy and sovereignty and independence, which is the first principle. Sovereignty and independence, away from who? The foreign United States, under what? The pre-existing and existing sovereignty and authority of the ancient Moroccan Empire. That's how AMPAG is set up. That's how New Mecca is set up. That's how AMPAG is set up. Regardless of what the haters out there may or may not say. Continue, good brother, on the final point. 17.
On point number 17. That is why the nationality of the Moors was taken away from them in 1774. And the word Negro, black, colored, was given to the Asiatics of America, who were of Moorish descent because they honored not the principles of their mother and father and strayed after the gods of Europe, of whom they knew nothing.
Islam. Is that not what happened? I'll read it again. From 16, through sin and disobedience, every nation has suffered slavery due to the fact that they honored not the creed and principles of their forefathers. That is why the nationality of the Moors was taken away from them in 1774, and the word Negro, black, and colored was given to the Asiatics of America, or Morocco, who were of Moorish descent, because they honored not the principles of their mother and father and strayed after the gods of Europe, whom they knew nothing. And that's been plaguing us, dealing with the Negro preachers, Reverend Porkchop.
Reverend Neckbone.
Exactly. Reverend Neckbone. You know, it was the Negro preacher, for what I understand during the whole thing about the 40 acres and a mule, it was the preacher who was supposed to be given back, through the Negro preachers, we were supposed to be getting back our nationality, which would then have been given us the 40 acres and a mule. But he was commissioned to steer us in the wrong direction, which is basically to become and remain citizens of the United States. And the Negro preachers have been playing us since, right? All of them. Martin Luther King. I mean, what? Who else? Jesse Jackson, T.D. Jakes, Creflo Dollar. All of them, Al Sharpton, you know, Farrakhan. And Negro preachers aren't limited to just some Christian church. The Islamic churches, the Islamic temples, the whole nine. They're called converso Moors, right? All those preacher types. There's a brother named, what was his name? Reverend Ike is another one. Reverend Ike.
T.D. Jake?
No, not T.D. Jakes. He was in the Adam's chamber with the prophet. He learned directly under the prophet, along with Elijah Poole Bey and Fard Muhammad. What was his?
The Honorable Elijah Muhammad.
Well, that would be Elijah Poole Bey.
Okay, all right, okay.
Yeah, that's what his name was when he was in the temple. And Fard Muhammad. His name was Ford Ale. They studied under the prophet, came out of there, started the Nation of Islam, and now Fard Muhammad became the Prophet Noble Ali. There's nothing honorable about Elijah Muhammad. I'm sick and tired of people calling this man Honorable Elijah Muhammad. There's absolutely nothing honorable about this guy. You don't withhold information on who the prophet is. You know that the names are Bey, Day, El, Ali, etc. And you say, oh, you don't know your name. Your name is X. You take away the fez and you give them bow ties and bean pies. The prophet said that we're Asiatics. He's just said it right here, the Asiatics of America. He wants to come and talk about Asiatic black men and the black Asiatics and black Muslims and all these egregious terms that the prophet said that according to the human race, there is no such thing as black Negroes and colored people. So why are you teaching this stuff? But that's not who I was talking about. You took me, I get livid when these things come to my conscience. Ugh. I don't understand how these Moors just do it like that, but they do it like that. The guy that I'm talking about, in his churches, they would call him Sweet Daddy Grace. You guys may not be familiar with him. But anyone on the line, is anyone on the line familiar with the International House of Prayer? They have a chain all over the country. In every major city, there's a church called the International House of Prayer. Let me see, 15 years ago or so, they were sued by IHOP, the International House of Pancakes, because of the same acronym, IHOP, International House of Prayer, International House of Pancakes. I don't remember his name, but in the churches, he was known as Sweet Daddy Grace. That was his name. Like, congregation would call him Sweet Daddy. He was a temple Moor, dirty Moor, converso Moor, who came out of the temple and started teaching these Christian principles. Yet again, causing the people to stray away or stray after gods of Europe who we knew nothing of. So it's plenty Moors that came out of the temple to establish state government, churches and organizations and mosques, things of that nature. And they didn't bring with them the true divine teachings of the prophet. They remixed it for their own agenda as the sellouts that they are. You understand what I mean? And so this is one of the reasons why our justice has been delayed, because of our own leaders, our own Negro leader guys who has been keeping us, and have been paid, that have taken death oaths to keep us in the dark. These international law principles, these international law documents, statehood, who we really are, that this is Morocco, and that we had the sovereign authority, and that all we had to do was to consent back to a Moroccan government and or establish one. They never talked about that. The only, outside of the prophet, the only other Asiatic in America that spoke about anything dealing with governments and nationality was Marcus Garvey. And even he was calling us Negroes, because at the time he didn't know no different, right? But he's the forerunner according to the prophet. He was sent as if he was John the Baptist to prepare the people for the arrival of Noble Drew Ali. And it makes sense because he was the only one who was talking nationality. He was the only one saying we need our own nation, et cetera, et cetera. And then Prophet Noble Drew Ali came in the game, which they existed at the same time because they're contemporaries. They're of the same time. Go ahead, Marius.
Charles Manuel.
Right there, because even though Martin Luther King was a Christian, before he passed, he had talks with Elijah Poole or Elijah Muhammad, whatever everybody call him. But he had talks with him, came back and started talking about nationalism. Malcolm X also went to Mecca, found out the truth, came back, started talking about nationalism. And if he had enough people, he'll get a seat at the UN. So they learned later. But like you said, the leaders was teaching the lie to the masses. That's why he got separated, the FOI or whatever they call them, Nation of Islam, because he found out the truth and wanted to share the truth. And yeah, that's why they offed him. But that's all.
Agreed. You're correct. The Negro is languishing in the corners of American society where he finds himself exiled at home. That was Martin Luther King. Go ahead, Brother Rael.
Yes, Sweet Daddy Grace's name was Charles Manuel.
There you go. You know who I was talking about. Excuse me. You knew who I was talking about. Sweet Daddy Grace came in and started a church, and everybody in the church called him Sweet Daddy. Could you imagine me as a grown man calling another grown man Sweet Daddy? But they did. Yeah, you're right about Martin Luther King and Malcolm X later on in life. They came to the truth. They didn't really heavily speak on nationality and nationhood, but they did allude to it. But Martin Luther King definitely displayed, broke down the secrets when he said, and this was in the I Have a Dream speech. It went over our heads during Black History Month. The Negro is languishing in the corners of American society where he finds himself exiled at home. Also saying things like, I've been to the mountaintop. I may not get there, but we will get, I may not get there with you, but we will get there. We'll sure to get there. And other little Masonic codes. Marius, your hand's still up. You had a question or concern still? Okay. Who else had a question or concern or comment?
Say I didn't hear you.
Oh, I was saying your hands are still up. Did you have another question or comment or?
Nah, how do I put it down? Oh,
The same way you put it up, brother. The same way you put it up, Mr. 14, honey. But there was a major split. Let's examine that split real quick. So we examine Furman. Now let's look at something real quick. Wow. Let's see. Let's see. Morrison Temple of American History. I can do this kind of stuff now because we got some time. Okay. We'll straight down to the history. Founding, practices and beliefs, early history, internal split, and murder. Succession and schism. There we go. All right, let's read that real quick. So it says, the death of Drew Ali brought out a number of candidates to succeed him. Brother Edward Mealy Ale stated that he had been declared Drew Ali's successor by Drew Ali himself. Where's the proof? Maybe he did, maybe he didn't. In August, within a month of Drew Ali's death, John Gibbons Ale, Drew Ali's chauffeur, declared that he was Drew Ali reincarnated. He is said to have fainted while working on Drew Ali's automobile, and the sign of the Star and Crescent appeared in his eyes. Really? At the September Unity Conference, Gibbons again made his claim of reincarnation. However, the governors of the Morrison Temple of America declared Charles Kirkman Bey to be the successor to Drew Ali and named him Grand Advisor. With the support of several temples each, Mealy Ale and Gibbons Ale both went on to lead separate factions. See, we gotta see separate factions of the Morrison Temple. All three factions, Kirkman Bey, Mealy Ale, and Gibbons Ale, are active today. Name the Moor who has went into temples and cleaned up the temples as of 1929. I'll wait. Crickets. It hasn't been cleaned up. On September 25th, 1929, Kirkman Bey's wife reported to the Chicago police his apparent kidnapping by one Ira Johnson, accompanied by two more Morrison members. The police visited the home of Johnson when they were met by gunfire. The attack escalated into a shootout that spilled into the surrounding neighborhood. In the end, a policeman as well as a member were killed in the gun battle, and a second policeman later died of his wounds. The police took 60 people into police custody, and it reported 1,000 police officers patrolled the Chicago South Side that evening. Johnson and two others were later convicted of murder. Kirkman Bey went on to serve as Grand Advisor of one of the most important factions until 1959, when the reins were given to F. Nelson Bey. And then guess what's next? So it's three splits. So this talks about three splits. What are the three different factions? The Kirkman Bey faction, the Mealy Ale faction, and the Gibbons Ale faction. So one is the reincarnated prophet, which is John Gibbons Ale. The other one is Mealy Ale, Edward Mealy Ale, who claimed that the prophet gave him the reins. But then there's a fourth faction. Here it is right here. Nation of Islam, the community was further split. It was further split when Wallace Fard Muhammad, you see what him look like? You see what he looked like right there? His phenotype is disturbing to be claiming some type of Moorish identity. And the 5%ers, which is the nation of gods and earths, you know, they worship the ground that this guy walks on. They think that he's the one who established and created the supreme mathematics and the supreme alphabets. Look at that guy. He calls us his cousins. My cousin in America. That's what this dude Fard Muhammad called us. But look at this guy. Look like a damn Jew. Ashkenazi synagogue of Satan Jew. And this is who the 5%ers follow. Keep in mind that they have a circle 7 on their emblem. Anyhow, the community was further split when Wallace Fard Muhammad, known within the temple as David Ford Ale, also claimed or was taken by some to be the reincarnation of Drew Ali. When his leadership was rejected, Ford Ale broke away from the Moorish temple. He moved to Detroit, where he formed his own group, an organization that would become the Nation of Islam. The Nation of Islam denied any historical connection with the Moorish Science Temple until February 26, 2014, when this guy right here, Louis Farrakhan, acknowledged the contributions of Noble Drew Ali to the Nation of Islam and their founding principles. I remember that speech. I was like, oh, well, finally, about time. I mean, that doesn't make you any cleaner, but we appreciate you putting it out there that it was the prophet that taught Noble Drew Ali, that taught Elijah Pooh Bay all that he knew, and not no friggin' Fard Muhammad. In fact, he taught Fard Muhammad as well. Did you guys know about that story about Wallace Fard Muhammad? David
Islam.
Ford Ill? Go ahead, brother.
Islam, I heard about him. Yeah, I read about him.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Wallace Fard Muhammad. That's the he is the father of the 5%ers, the nations of gods and earth. They have some great information, some great sciences, but the person that they claim as their foundation is absurd. He looks absolutely nothing like us. If anyone has any other statements? Let's see if there's anything else I can go over. I think we're pretty much wrapped up here.
Elijah Pooh was born here in Georgia.
Yeah. Yeah, where in Georgia? Edenton or?
It's south of Edenton, called Sanders, not
Sandersville, right?
It's another county too, Hancock. Sandersville, and between Sandersville and Hancock.
Yeah, Islam. Yep, Elijah Pooh Bay is from Georgia. It's absolutely correct. Fascinating. But yeah, so we wanted to cover the chapter 47, particularly go over or make the point clear who are the true possessors of the present Moroccan Empire. And that's number 6, the Moabites from the land of Moab, who received permission from the pharaohs of Egypt to settle and inhabit Northwest Africa. They were the founders and are the true possessors of the present Moroccan Empire, regardless of what you see out there with the pale Arabs, okay? With their Canaanite and Hittite and Amorite brethren who sojourned from the land of Canaan, seeking new homes. So the prophet wasn't just, he wasn't just some guy. You don't just pop up with a flag and you saying things like Moroccan Empire and bringing things like feathers and turbans. He was, everyone may have their own opinions on things, but he was, if you examine the evidence, he was obviously divinely ordained to do what he did. And he came here. He didn't go to China. He didn't go to the Moors in China. He didn't go to the Moors in Africa. He came to the Asiatics of America. Because we are the ones over here that are being heavily persecuted by our own cousins, our own people, and from other territories and jurisdictions, the brutish Moors. Let me see if I can pull up King George III real quick before we adjourn. King George III. Let me see more. Let's see if they'll give them to us. Because you see all these king, look at it. There he is. This is what King George III looked like. You see him? His most sacred majesty, King George III. Do you see this afro? Can y'all see this guy? This is who the colonizers was running from. This is who was persecuting them. Look at this queen. This is I forgot her name. Charlotte. Yeah, Queen Charlotte. Queen Charlotte of Mecklenburg. This is who they named after. They named Charlotte, North Carolina after. Are you guys seeing what I'm seeing? Is my screen being shared properly?
We can see it.
It's small.
Okay, good. That is King George, 1830 to 1872. The brutish. That's what they used to call him at the time. So it was our own people. Genghis Khan. Genghis Khan was dark. All these people are dark. When you go and you look at John Wick 3, Keanu Reeves he had a contract on his head. The only person that could get the contract off his head was a Moor in Casablanca, and he had to walk across the hot Arabian desert to get there. He passed out in that journey. A Moor rolled up on him with a camel and brought him to the king or the sultan, who was a Moor, sitting there with his hookah, having a discussion with John Wick. Told him, if you want me to take the contract off your head, you got to cut off your ring finger. And he had to cut off his own ring finger, like not let somebody else do it. He had to do it his damn self. Cut off his ring finger, gave it to him as a prize, and the contract was taken off his head. He was able to come back to the United States and live free again as a free man without concerns of any of the assassins coming after him. But throughout the whole movie, the people who's running the clandestine assassin association were all Europeans. All of them were European. All the bosses were European. You would have thought. So towards the end of the movie, when he rolled up on the black man, quote unquote, to get that contract off his head, it leaves the audience in awe, like, what? They're like, what? I wasn't expecting that. Because everybody else was white. The only other two people that were melanated were Lawrence Fishburne. He was the guy, he was one of the assassins who handled the pigeons with the messages in the bottle and the pigeons and all that. And then the other one was Holly Berry, who had two dogs. She was an assassin. They used to operate with two dogs. Those were the only two Asiatics. But they didn't even have the power like the rest of them who put the contract on his head. So he had to go to Casablanca, Morocco. He had to go to Morocco. Casablanca, Morocco, walk across the hot Arabian desert so that he can make contact with the Sultan, who was a Moor. And in the movie, you can see it. It wasn't even whitewashed. He was a dark dude, kind of like brown or whatever. And he took the contract off his head. He was able to come back to the United States with a missing finger, but his life was back. Go watch John Wick 3. It's very fascinating, man. But and this is what you know, that's why he came to us, because we are the ones who are heavily persecuted by everyone around the world. And those people are primarily, if they don't look like us, they are the decoys working on behalf of those who look like us. This is what you call a Mameluke. Let's look up Mameluke. Mameluke. What is a Mameluke? See these Mamelukes? Let's go into the definition before we go into the pictures. What is a Mameluke? A member of a regime that formerly ruled parts of the Middle East, descendants from slaves. They ruled Syria and Egypt and continued as a ruling military caste in Ottoman Egypt until massacred by the Viceroy Muhammad Ali in 1811. Mamluk is a term most commonly referring to non-Arab, ethnically diverse, mostly Turkish, also transliterated as Mameluke. Let me click on that so I can get the full. Okay, here it is. Is a term most commonly referring to non-Arab, ethnically diverse, mostly Turkic, Caucasian, Eastern, and Southeastern European slave soldiers and freed slaves who were assigned military and administrative duties, serving the ruling Arab dynasties in the Muslim world. Now you know what a Mamluk is. So Queen Elizabeth was a Mamluk. King Charles is the current Mamluk. There's a Queen Elizabeth. You guys can still see my screen. Okay, good. Let me show y'all something. If you were to type in Black Queen Elizabeth, in case you've never done that, you see this lady right here. British royal family shocker. Queen Elizabeth II is Black. Do y'all see what I'm looking at? Are we there? Can y'all hear me at all?
It's long. It's long.
Okay.
Break it down, Mobite. Break it down.
This is that's Brother Shin. I know your voice anyway. Hey, brother, I seen you call me yesterday. I apologize. I was caught up and I didn't even call. I'm sorry. Don't shoot me. I'll call you. I'll return your call.
No apology needed, Mobite. Break this thing down.
Oh, Coleman, I see Coleman on the line. What you doing on the line? This line, Brother Shin. So you see this right here. This is the British royal family shocker. This is the original Queen Elizabeth.
Oh yeah, I already knew she was fake, man. She not even real.
Yeah. They're Mamelukes. I just read to y'all what a Mameluke is. She's a Mameluke. So there's always a melanated person behind these people. There's a Black Rockefeller to the white Rockefeller. The Rothschilds are the red shields. When we're talking about the red shields, red and a shield, you're talking about the Moorish dynasties. Right? Who else? Whatever. Carnegie, all the people who claim the Industrial Revolution, which is the Vanderbilts, which is the Rockefellers, which is the who's the other ones? Vanderbilts, Rockefellers, Carnegies, DuPonts. These were all Moors. And the people, exactly. And the people that they show you, the placeholder, these are placeholders. So there's a white, there's a Black, whatever to the white placeholder. So they show you the DuPont family, they're going to show you the white man, but in all actuality, the DuPont family was a Black man. The Titanic was a conspiracy. It didn't crash with no iceberg. Like, let's really think about it. Let's use discernment. You think the captain wasn't aware of his direction and knowing that he's gonna run? That was a conspiracy no different than 9/11. Because there were 3 billionaire magnates on board who were more. All right. I'm sorry, y'all. This is driving me to drink. This ugh.
What's wrong with your internet? Is it
I don't, yeah, it keeps dropping, bro. I don't understand why it keeps doing that. I don't know. They've been checking it, but it's not turning up anything. So there were 3, I forgot the names. Don't ask me the names. I totally forgot them. I had to go back and look at them. But there were 3 Moors on the ship, on board, who were billionaires. Big time billionaire magnates, big time well ingratiated into the political landscape of this side of the world, of the Western Hemisphere, in Morocco.
Are you talking about the Titanic?
What was that?
Are you talking about the Titanic?
Yeah, I'm talking about the Titanic.
Okay.
And so JP Morgan, I think it was JP Morgan, one of them. JP Morgan, don't hold me on that, but one of those banking dynasty guys, they ordered the sinking of the Titanic to get rid of those 3 guys. Why did they want to get rid of those 3 guys? Because those 3 guys were in the way of the establishment of the Federal Reserve Act, which took place in Jekyll Island, which is off the coast of Georgia, Jekyll Island in 1912. Senator Woolrich, JP Morgan, Rothschilds, Rockefellers, and all of them, they all went on a trip to Jekyll Island, a secret trip to Jekyll Island, and draft up the Federal Reserve Act, which was by pen, the power of the pen. The pen is mightier than the sword. That's how they were able to transfer our trust from out of the United States of America into the federal privatized Federal Reserve Act. And there's 15, what is it? 12? Is it 12 districts?
13.
Yeah, 13 districts. 13 different trusts.
13 Federal Reserve banks.
13 different Federal Reserve banks, which is 13 different districts. There's one in Atlanta, one in Chicago, one in New York.
One in Boston, one in Chicago.
Mm-hmm.
I think one in Virginia.
Mm-hmm.
And
I think there's one in California, LA. But there's 13 of them. And that's the reason for that was the reason for the Titanic going down. But the point of me bringing all that up is because it's to show or to let you all know that everything that's going on in the world, we're the ones that's behind it, our own people. And the biggest attack is on the Moroccan Moors here in the Western Hemisphere, southwest of Mexico, Morocco, as well as northwest of Mexico, Morocco, as well as southwest of Mexico, Morocco.
I wonder why.
Well, one of the reasons why is that this is the ancient Egypt.
Precisely.
Let me show y'all something. What is it called? Exotic.
Called the ancient mystic masonry.
Exactly. Correct. Exactly. Has anyone seen this map?
Yeah, I actually got
Islam. Yes, sir.
Yeah, that's the exotic map of the USA, featuring towns that actually exist. So within this map, every country around the world, you'll find right here in this map. You'll find Moab. Moab is right there in Utah. In Georgia by itself, we have a couple of them. We got Sparta, Athens. Let me see if I can maximize this. Oh, come on. Can you all see it? I'm trying to maximize it so you can see it. Come on. Okay, can you see it? That's about as best as I can get it.
Yeah.
Let me see here. What is that? A search? Let me try to do it a little bit more. Okay.
There's Andalusia, Alabama.
Yep. Andalusia, Alabama. You got Madrid, Denmark.
Yeah.
You got
Dallas.
Jerusalem in Georgia.
Hey, brother Coleman, you from Texas, right? Okay, look it down in Texas. You got Sudan in Texas. You got Scotland in Texas. You got Paris, Palestine, Milano, just in Texas. Cuba over here in what's this, Colorado? No, that's not Colorado. What's next to Texas? More y'all to the left of Texas, huh?
Arizona.
Yeah, Arizona. So you got
New
Cuba.
Mexico first.
New Mexico, my bad. Yep.
Okay, yeah, okay. So then it's Cuba in New Mexico, Valencia, and I can't read that one down there. What does it say in Georgia? I can't see it. Waterloo? No, it's over here. Waterloo, that's Alabama. So you got Sparta, you got Egypt, you got Jerusalem, you got Athens. Morocco is in Chicago. You got Morocco up here. You got Greece, Poland, Sweden. You got China down here in Mexico. I mean, this is ridiculous. You know what I'm saying? Ontario. I mean, how you got China and Mexico? You know, Cairo, Egypt. You know what I mean? Where's the Mississippi River? So I would like to connect that to the, let me see, do I have it on this map? No, it's not on that map. Where is it? I think I done lost that map. Okay, that's fine, whatever. So yeah, so you know, there's something special about this land. It was called the land of milk and honey. It was called Turtle Island. It was the sacred land that no one knew nothing of during the time of the conquest of Granada. Go ahead, Brother Marius.
And the Intercatera Divina tell you the reason why they came here. This is the Garden of Eden. And they said that in the Intercatera Divina, we believed in one God, we was butt naked still, and we didn't eat flesh.
Yep, that's correct. This is ancient Egypt. You've got, there's more pyramids here than there are over there. And so they want this land. They've been going after this land since forever. And it's just not happening. I know the first time, or one of the times when Genghis Khan came down with his Mongols and all that, we shut them down. I mean, we kept shutting them down. We had help from the Kingdom of Mali. This is part of the history. So there's a rich history that took place here. All the oil is you'll find everything here. The rainforest is here. The original camels were here. The lions, all that stuff that they have us thinking is coming from Africa is actually from here.
Two hump camel.
There you go. The two hump, the double hump camel. Yeah, exactly. A lot of things just and remember, there was a time where things would just walk across, right? So we walked across, animals walked across. The Pyramid of the Sun, which is in Mexico, what's the name? Yucatan, the Yucatan. That's that pyramid that you'll see in like the Aztec movies and all that. That's more ancient than the Pyramid of Giza. In fact, it's bigger, way bigger. And that's where, go ahead.
I took pictures on that pyramid.
Oh, did you?
Mm-hmm.
You must share. I like to say, you gotta share. Yeah, that's the pyramid. That was a laboratory in which they carried out their island of Dr. Moreau experiments. If you've seen the island of Dr. Moreau, you'll understand what I'm saying. I don't want to get too direct with this. I'm trying to maintain the diplomacy, and I want to maintain the olive branch. But there was an experiment that took place that was initiated in the Pyramid of the Sun. And then it was completed in Argentina, which at the time was called Patagonia. And let's just say that it was below the equator, which means it was a little too hot. So the experiment had to be taken up to Albion, which today is known as England.
Troglodyte nigger.
What was that? Because
You talking about the troglodyte nigger experiment?
The troglodyte, I didn't want to go there, but yes. Islam.
I wasn't gonna say that. I was gonna say that they talk about the pyramid of South America throughout all the books. They call it the double-decker pyramid, and this pyramid on this side of the earth is the only one with the double-decker steps.
Yeah, it's the first step pyramid. They said
those pyramids on that side talk about the mother pyramid being across the water, being over here.
Mm-hmm. Yes, that's absolutely correct. This is ancient Egypt. That's why when the prophet said the pharaohs, the ancient pharaohs of Egypt, he was talking about over here. You had to get permission from over here to come over here. You see? But yes, brother, Tyree, you're absolutely correct. The troglodyte nigger monkey experiment that produced a certain group of people, some hybrids here. I mean, it's not disrespect. I mean, it's the truth. It's the facts. It's the truth. It's the history.
Right. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, don't shine away from the truth.
Well, I'm not trying to shine away from the truth. I'm just, trying to keep things in a different light, until further notice. I'm not shying away from the truth. I mean, I'm just trying to speak in codes. Okay. Y'all pushing y'all Moors, I swear, y'all Moors are some Moors. You Moors are something else. I ain't even got to finish typing it. I already looked it up several times. There you go, y'all. The only monkey that has an upright stance. The troglodyte nigger monkey. This is like literally their scientific name. It's called the troglodyte nigger monkey. Now, let's scroll. Let me move this thing out of my way. Now let's scroll and see, what do we see?
I was actually watching a movie yesterday, and it had something to do with, I'll get back to you on that, but the lady referred to one of the so-called white men as, she said, "What the hell you want, you troglodyte?" I was like,
oh wow.
My God, they put it in there.
Yeah.
I'm like, they put it in the book.
Yeah, they do. They know it. They know it. They know their history. I mean, they put it in the island of Dr. Moreau. You see this right here. If you've seen the Flintstones in there, it's in there. You see this right here. This is just the truth. This is one of the things that's been kept from us. Let me continue scrolling. If you just scroll, you just start seeing stuff. And it's like, wow, Planet of the Apes. What else are they showing us? But that's the troglodyte. And so they went to Patagonia, Argentina, completed the experiment there. They were dying off. It was too hot, so they had to bring them up to Albion. What at the time it was Albion, and today is known as England. So this is that species of monkey that and that wasn't the only one. The other one was the Araba something negro. Araba something negro, which is back to the word Negro. And then so you see the term. So it's a lot of deflection. They call us niggers, but they're the troglodyte, nigger monkey, Negro. It's also the monkey, Negro, Araba, Negro, something. Let me see if I can pull it up.
That's why the etymology for black is pale.
That's correct. Let me see if I can pull it up. Negro. I think that's the name. Sure as hell is. Comes right up. There's another set of pictures of them. So it was like 2 or 3 different species that they use. Negro Havero Araba. Negro Havero, there you go. Negro Havero Habara. What? How you give me bras? Okay, you playing games. How did bra? I didn't put bra here. Negro Avero Habara. Let me take Abara off and see, because Abara is giving it the thing of, okay. I don't know why it's doing that. I'm not trying to look at breasts, but we'll just stick with the troglodyte. That's the troglodyte nigger monkey. And that's just the truth.
Sex education class, huh?
Huh?
Sex education class.
I know, right? It turned into that. That's really what this is, because what happened was, it was done by Yakub, the two-brained scientists. Jacob is known as Jacob in the Bible. See, this is the story of Esau, and who was the other child that Rebecca gave birth? It was Esau and Jacob, actually.
Esau and Jacob.
Yeah, Esau and Jacob. That's the story, the red people that came out of Rebecca, the red hairy people, that's a story, that's a biblical story that you can go deep in on. And this is the story of theirs. It says here, Negro, Niger is a beast, being a troglodyte, nigger, anthropoid, monkey, ape. The scientific name, nomenclature, troglodyte, nigger, applies also to Paleoliths, being the heterogeneous troglodyte, nigger, caveman, humanoid. Heterogeneous, Abrida, Paleolith. So the anthropoid is the natural niger, the Pale-European Paleolithic man, hybrid niger. They are experimentally created grafted race of people. The European has not been on Earth for very long. They are relatively new people. They are the youngest or the newest of all peoples on Earth. The Koreans, the current day Koreans, Chinese, all of them. These are all hybrids that came from this experiment in which Yakub, he utilized 12, I think it was 12, according to the story, the way it goes, he used 12 Moabitess scientists, and impregnated, artificially inseminated that monkey's semen, sperm, into the Moabitesses, and the Moabites gave birth. And from that birth, they had to do, if anyone has ever heard, y'all remember the movie with Mel Gibson, The Passion of the Christ. That's one of the main ingredients that they utilize, is something called passion that came from a specific flower that gave them that spirit, if you will. What else they use? They use many different things to, I don't know the full story, I don't know the full experiment, but that's the gist of it. They utilize some sort of a flower to create the passion. There's a white guy, an albino, his name is Rick Smith. Y'all can look him up. Rick Smith teaches that. He's a white guy, and he teaches moral science. There's a white guy who teaches moral science, imagine that. The prophet said he was going to teach, he was going to make the European tell the truth. Rick Smith. It ain't none of these people. Rick Smith, More Science. So y'all can have a picture of what he looks like. So when you go look him up, you can pull him up on YouTube. There you go. Right, there's this guy right here. This guy right here. Richard Smith, UFO teacher, interview 3 of 3, United Moors. That's what he looks like. And he's all over YouTube. He teaches those things, and he teaches about the story about the monkey with the so-called Caucasoids. He wrote this book right here, The Moor, the Mason, and the Alien. He talks about our connection to the extraterrestrial beings, that we're connected to them. That's our descendants. He goes in. That white guy goes in. Very fascinating stuff. Another one is Michelle Gibson.
Hold on real quick, because before you switch from him, he said he's a Moor that had to come back in the European body so he could tell his Moorish brothers. So we'll listen. That's what he said, because we don't listen to each other. We can tell our people this all day and they'd be looking at us like we crazy, but he said it, a lot of people start listening.
That's exactly what he said.
And then Michelle Gibson.
You definitely was listening. You definitely been watching him, because you wouldn't have known that if you hadn't been watching him.
Hey, look, I got one of the memories, man. And then Michelle Gibson, you about to get on her. She did the whole history thing about the glorious things we did on Earth. Go ahead.
What was that? Say it one more time.
The glorious stuff that the Moors did on Earth, how the Earth was in harmony when we led.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear you. I took my earbuds off and I'm listening to you through my other phone. What you said?
I said how we the glorious thing we did on Earth and how the Earth was in harmony when we led. He was saying Earth was Bill Gibson. He the one went on House of Reawakening Minds, right? Short hair European lady.
Michelle Gibson, yeah. I don't know. Well, I don't know if she went on that. Hold on. I don't know if she went on that show. Hold on a second. Okay. Am I still echoing?
Yeah, you are.
Am I still now?
No.
Okay.
There you go.
Yeah, I don't know if she went on that show, but she got her own channel, and she covers a lot of fascinating stuff.
All the buildings we built here.
Like, let me see. Let me Google this. Let's say those mountains in New Mexico or Arizona, mountains in like Colorado, New Mexico, where the coyote would chase the road runner.
Yellowstone Mountain.
Is that, let me see. Is that, okay, let's look. Yellowstone Mountain. These, like this right here, that's not natural. That's a carbon. That's a building. That's a building.
Oh yeah.
That's a building.
I was in California about 3 weeks ago, and I can tell you that the city that I stopped in to spend the night, and I looked at the mountains, and that was actually like an ancient building.
Yeah.
Ancient, like, I'm like, oh my God, that's really in the mountains to where we can see it.
That's Yosemite.
Mm-hmm.
And that was in the mountains. You telling me that's Yosemite? Oh, you was talking about the picture.
Say it again. Marius, he's talking to you.
What'd he say?
I was saying, are you telling me that was Yosemite?
Yeah, I think it was Yosemite you talking about.
Okay. Yeah, I'll find out what, I can't remember the city, but it was a truck stop. It was a truck stop a Love's truck stop that was right across from these mountain cliffs. And right up in the cliff, you could see the building in the far. I say, oh my God. That
Yeah.
was in plain sight. I'm like, wow, that's one of the buildings, you know?
Yeah,
I
yeah.
found
It's a
out.
lot of stuff like that in California.
Yeah,
It's a lot of stuff like that in the mountains.
in the West, period.
Yep.
Like right here, this is man-made. You see this right here, this Yellowstone Rocky Mountain Explorer thing? That's man-made by our ancestors. And these are the things that Michelle Gibson go into. All that stuff is man-made, and they're similar all across the planet. All the castles look the same. All the buildings, all the the mounds. She points out that the golf courses are mounds, hidden mounds. So they're hiding stuff with like golf courses and national parks. All that stuff is hiding what it really is, passing it off as if it's something else when in actuality it's something else. And that something else is that it's a building. So, like for example, Yellowstone National Park, they hide it as they encode it as a national park, but it's not a national park. This is a building. It's our booth properties. There's entrances into these buildings. We built this stuff. It's ridiculous.
You know what? Speaking of how ancient we are, if we're that ancient, then that only means one thing. That only means that we went beyond, or they came beyond the ice walls from those other worlds. And
who came beyond the ice walls?
Oh, we went beyond that.
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Because it's portals open.
Somebody mute your mic, please.
To the other side. I saw some on the Facebook actual pictures. And he'll send
Coleman, hold up, brother. You sound bad. You gotta do something. I don't know if it's you or somebody is on mute or off mute and making noise in the background, but could everyone mute their mics who ain't talking, please? Because it comes off really bad on the video when you start watching it. All right, go ahead. Please, y'all, mute yourself, please. It messes up the discussion. Go ahead.
So I'll send it to you later, but these are actual photos that someone took. I don't know if it's beyond the walls, but it's actual. When you look at these are actual. This is of another place. And when you want to say aliens, that's what brought it to mind when you said aliens.
Mm-hmm.
And us being ancient. Like somebody had to take those pictures.
Yeah.
And I'll send it later, man. It'll blow your mind of the beings that you will see in those pictures. It's really, really mind blowing.
Well, those beings, a lot of beings, we created them, they talk about the deep underground military bases, they call it DUMBs, in which they are partaking in cloning of human species and all this kind of stuff. That's stuff, we've already done that stuff, man. That's ancient, that's old news. We've already cloned a lot of beings and created a bunch of cross beings. The pig is a rat, cat, and dog combined. So we've already done that. Huh?
Rat, cat, dog.
Combined. Yeah, rat, cat, and dog combined. That's the pig. The bats are a bird, is a bird combined with a rat. A lot of animals aren't even natural. We created them. The pig was created to clean up. There was earlier on in the centuries, from what I understand, based on some of the things that I've read, there was a famine, a big pandemic in the world once upon a time, and which created a lot of. It was a major disease that caused a lot of deaths, and the scientists at the time did not want to send humans up there to clean that up and reset society in that region. I can't remember the region, but it's in the Caucasus. It's somewhere in the Caucasus, right? And so that's what the pig was created for, to go clean it all up, eat it all up, basically. That's the short version of the story. Yeah, they were created to clean that up, go up that hill and clean up the hill, basically dispose of the bodies. How? Eat them. So the pigs eat anything. So they ate up all those bodies, and then the human beings came in to repopulate and do whatever it is that they did, the scientists, etc. So there was a purpose for the pig, not to eat them, but for them to eat off those bodies that had caused that huge pandemic. That's the story that I understand. I cannot remember. I think that actually came from Elijah Muhammad. And if it came from Elijah Muhammad, we know who it came from. As a matter of fact, the story of Yaqub, which is the mad scientist who created the hybrids with the monkey. That story came from Elijah Muhammad, but it didn't come from Elijah Muhammad. That's where I first heard it from. But then it comes out of the Adams Chamber of the Moorish Science Temple of America, and Taj Tariq Bey spoke on that, amongst other scholars who spoke on the creation of the people that we know today as white people through the troglodyte nigger monkey. Islam. So these are all buildings. So, when you talk about the road runner running from a coyote and a coyote falling down the hill, and then you're thinking that hill, not falling down the hill, falling off the cliff or the edge of the mountain, you think that's a mountain. No, that's a building. It's an actual building. We built it all. We built the what was that structure in England? No, those stones, Stonehenge. Stonehenge. You know what I'm talking about? Stonehenge. Let me pull it up since I got the internet here. Stonehenge. That's man. That was they try to say, oh, it was aliens. No, it wasn't no freaking aliens. It was us. This right here. This Stonehenge. That was built by us. We built all the wonders of the world and don't get no credit for it. So you got to remember, Moors means the high priest of Anu, the high priest of Anu, the keepers of the ancient mysteries of Egypt. That's who Moors are, really, the high priest of Anu. We also the officers in the Isle of Man. That's in the Black Star Dictionary. See, they call this right here Olympus Portal, or actually Olympus Portable, Olympus. See, same thing with Greek philosophy or Greek mythology. Greek mythology is Egyptian stories. Athena is Isis, Zeus is Osiris. You know what I mean? Like, oh yeah. They have basically assimilated themselves to us. So yeah, you want to look up Rick Smith and Michelle Gibson. I'll show you what Michelle Gibson looked like real quick on YouTube. She's I don't know if she's none of those. Let's say Moorish science. That's how you kind of like gotta break it down. And then there she go right there. Oh yeah, she was on the House of Reawakening Minds. Yep, right here. The Hidden Moorish Legacy, a suppressed, ancient, advanced global civilization. She goes into that throughout her whole channel is dedicated to that. Michelle Gibson.
Even listen to one of Asir recordings. Even he said there's a very, 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 very small percentage of so-called white people.
A very small percentage of white people that what?
That would help you.
That would help you?
Yeah, help us.
Yeah, help us. I mean, probably, there's more of them that would help us than we would help us, bro.
Yeah, he says a small percentage though. it's not a lot, but there are some.
I mean, well, I mean,
I mean, you know,
I mean, I mean, the brother says that the Treaty of Peace and Friendship is not between the United States of America and Morocco. He said it's not. He said it's between the United States of America and Almorocanos Estados and the Moorish Americans. This is what he said, right? Therefore, his credibility is kind of shaky with me, because the treaty does not say nothing about no Almorocanos, nothing, and it don't say nothing about Moorish Americans. The treaty specifically says United States of America and the Sultan of Morocco, i.e. Morocco, United States of America and Morocco. It don't say anything, not one word in none of the articles that say anything about some Almorocanos Estados. And damn sure don't say nothing about no Moorish Americans. So, you know, bro, I really used to run with the brother. I really used to rock with the brother, but you know,
I truly meet
as you grow in degrees, you kind of,
yeah.
you know, his credibility is not all there no more with me anymore, brother.
Yeah, I know what you mean. I'm just using one of those references. You know?
But I love him, man. I used to always love the Duke, but you know, when he said that, I was like, oh my God, that's egregious. It's not even, what's the reference point for that? Where did you get the term Almorocanos Estados from? Because I don't see it in no treaty. Go ahead, brother.
Yeah, who y'all talking about?
I hate to bring up his name because I don't want to be talking bad about anybody, but that was my guy. But that Asir the Duke of Tears. Are you familiar with that, brother?
Yeah, I know Asir.
Yeah.
His voice, like some voices put me to sleep. I can't listen to him. I only heard like one or two of his videos, and then I'm always like rocked to sleep, and I listen to a lot of stuff driving. So if your voice isn't energetic to me, I'm not energetic. It makes me sleepy. So I got to find something that keeps me awake. And even with her, Michelle's voice being hella like melancholy, like real like down, but what she's talking about is so interesting. You still can listen interested because it's about you, and it's so fascinating. You know what I mean? But his stuff, I don't know. I can't get into it.
But I mean, it's not really about his voice, it's about his knowledge. And he does have knowledge to break down a lot of history. I like his voice. I like his whole personality. I like the brother. You know what I'm saying? He's always.
I don't like him. I
know you didn't say that. I'm not saying that you're saying that. I'm not saying that.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that you don't like him. I know that you're saying that he bores you to death. That's really what you're saying.
Pretty much.
But you know, he's always in habit. You know, he's always in habit, bro. I've always respected him. I used to always follow him, bro. But ever since I've been studying this international law treaty stuff, you know, and then you say egregious things like the treaty is between America and the Almorocanos Estados. I can't. Where's the reference point for that? Where did you get the term Almorocanos? You know, amongst many other things that he have said in the past that would always have me wondering. But that's just it. Outside of that, I don't see a problem with the brother. He appears to be a good brother. In fact, Brother Coleman Ale can attest to it because he helped him out, Asir the Duke helped Coleman Ale with some stuff. And that was very, very commendable. So no slight, no disrespect, all love to the Moor. I'm just saying, when you say things like that, it hurts your credibility. Where's the reference points for Almorocanos Estados and Moorish Americans that wrote the treaty? Please, if you can show and prove that, then I stand corrected. Otherwise, let's not do that. The title is the title, and the title says United States of America and the Sultan of Morocco. Period. So all love to the brother. And his wife, his queen, Selena Cordoba Il. They've got an awesome. She has an awesome cosmetic line for men and women. It's called CordobaOrganics.com, where they have like potions for hair growth or regrowth. skin clearing and all these other great products. She's got some great products. It's handmade with all these special ingredients and infusion and some high level scientific stuff. You guys ought to take a look at what they got. You know, that's how I work, man. I promote Muslims on whatever level possible. And yeah, it's called organic Cordoba, CORDOBA organics, CordobaOrganics.com. Check it out and place your orders. That's how much I have respect for them, but I lost credit. He lost credibility in my mind. Anyway, any other questions or comments on the subject matter or anything else for that matter?
Yeah, I do got one.
What you got, brother?
So back when the Sultan was in power of Morocco was alive and well. When they spoke of Morocco, what position of where was South America, Central America, Mexico, Canada, and all of this?
When you say they speak about Morocco, and what do you mean when they?
Got reference in the time period. So the time when the Sultan was in power.
I mean, it was talking about all of Morocco. We just went over Morocco is really the whole world. But at the time, like if you were to look at what gives you the perfect reference point is George Washington's letter, the second letter to the son of Sidi Muhammad, because Sidi Muhammad had passed away, and then his son took over, and he sent his son a letter with concerns about thinking that he was going to possibly discontinue the treaty. Let me see if I can pull it up. But anyway, in the letter, he said it starts off saying the great ocean that divide us. George Washington letter to the son of I don't know if it'll come up that way. Let me look that up real quick. Was it with the Sultan for permission to reside? I think this might be it. He says something about separated by the great ocean, the immense ocean. Now look at this whitewashing job right here. Check this out, y'all. Check out this whitewashing job. You see how white his face is? I mean, it's almost like his headdress, right? I mean, it's super white, right? Look at his hands. Look at his hands. His hands is brown and his white is pale. Horrible rendition of a damn. Let me see. The Sidi Muhammad. I think this might be it right here. Separated by the immense ocean, George Washington to the Emperor of Morocco. Yeah, 1791. Yeah, that's it. 1791. It's like you see where it started. You see how it started off. Great and magnanimous friend, separated by immense ocean from the more ancient nations of the earth and little connected with their politics and proceedings. So separated by the immense ocean. So currently, apparently it was the emperor was in Morocco across the waters at the time.
And the continent of Africa.
In the continent of Africa, where the kingdom is today, right? However, if you go to the title of the France versus United States case, you see it here? Nope, you don't see it. Why is this computer not keeping up with my shares? I'm gonna reshare. You see it? You see it now?
1952.
Okay. What does that say? Case concerning rights of nationals of the United States of America in Morocco.
Right.
So
My
it's
question,
in Morocco.
so my question was what lands were exactly, we know the whole world. I get that. But
Mhm.
in that period, Morocco, we know is what we call the US today. But did that also consist of Canada, Central America, Mexico, South America?
North America, Central America, and South America, and as well as the adjoining islands.
So that was Morocco.
Yep, all that is Morocco.
Okay. So
Let's go here. I'm gonna
So
take
when
you. Go ahead.
Okay.
Go ahead.
So when the US was doing their thing, was trying to usurp the Sultan, that whole time period was used where they start breaking up the territories like Jamaica and South America, and renaming them and all that other stuff. That's
By-
when that time period.
By the British.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. Okay.
The brutish that I just showed earlier, King George III with an afro.
Yeah.
So now let's go back here. We've already read this. The Moabites from the land of Moab, who received permission from the pharaohs of Egypt to settle and inhabit Northwest Africa. They were the founders and are the true possessors of the present Moroccan Empire. And we know Northwest Africa is where?
Here.
Islam. And then he goes further to say their dominion and inhabitation extended from northeast and southwest Africa across Great Atlantis, even onto the present North, South, and Central America, and also Mexico and the Atlantis Islands, before the Great Earthquake, which caused the Great Atlantic Ocean.
Exactly. Now that is read out of what?
Hmm?
What you reading that out of?
Oh, that's the chapter 47 of the Circle 7 Quran, Noble Drew Ali.
Oh, okay.
Yep. That's in the chapter 47, Circle 7 Quran.
That was the Great Madrid earthquake, 1811, right?
No.
That wasn't.
Are you talking about the earthquake that caused the Atlantic Ocean?
Yeah.
No, hell no. That took place way before that. The Madrid earthquake. Lasir talks about the Madrid earthquake. I haven't really looked up any reference points in regards to that other than what Asir the Duke of Tears was saying. But yeah, that was in like in the 1800s, according to what the brother Asir was saying. But this is something else. This is the Super Devere or something like what they called it. So, you know, the world was at one time Pangea, it was all together, and then you had the great earthquake that split everything up and it caused the great Atlantic Ocean. So the prophet is talking about from an ancient time when the world was once Pangea.
Right.
So it goes back. And so in alignment with that, we also said that the Moorish flag had been flying over here over 10,000 years. Except at the time, it was a plain red flag. It didn't have the 5-point star in it. It came in later on in the history, which represents Venus, and also love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice, and other things. But the green 5-point star represents Venus. Yep. Great question. Great question. Great discussion here. Any other questions or comments?
Y'all awake?
What was that?
I was asking, is everybody awake?
I'll be putting them to sleep, but they.
Islam.
Nah, yeah, we all still here.
Oh, Amaru right there. It's long.
I'm here. I'm preparing my lunch late.
Your lunch meat. What you got? What you got there? Cat and dog?
Peanut butter. No, I don't eat none of that. I quit that a long time ago.
Oh, boo-hoo, whatever. It's all the same. I don't put too much stock into all that like that. Because I mean, even what you think is vegan food ain't even, man, that stuff ain't even organic, man. Like you almost can't even run from it.
No. I'm eating turkey and chicken sandwich and peanut butter and jelly sandwich. Yeah.
That sounds nasty as hell. A turkey, chicken, and peanut butter and jelly sandwich. So you gonna be, that's one hell of a bird. That's one hell of a sandwich.
No. Turkey, chicken sandwich, and then a peanut butter and jelly sandwich. Then I got the.
Oh, they're separate. They're separate sandwiches. They're not
Yeah.
all in one.
Yeah. Then I got
okay.
the peanut butter and the celery. You know what I'm saying? Then I got the pineapples, watermelons, and cantaloupe. There.
Okay, brother. That sounds like a good nutritious meal. Islam.
Not trying
You
to
know,
be
the Bible says that let the trees be your meat. So we're supposed to.
You ever had Moroccan couscous? Tastes just like bacon.
Moroccan poos.
Meat. Moroccan couscous tastes just like bacon.
Poos. Man, that sounds.
Couscous.
Man,
Couscous.
listen, bro, that don't sound right. That doesn't sound appetizing.
That's part of your native.
Islam. I gotta go back to
couscous.
I gotta what the prophet said right here. I gotta stop sharing and share again. For some reason, when I share out of one thing and then it don't share in the other. But let me go back and share this right here. Because this is the Holy Seven, the Circle 7 Holy Quran. When he says that going back to the ancient what your ancient forefathers were, you are today without doubt or contradiction. So if they ate couscous, then goddamn it, I need to get with it, huh?
What is couscous?
Yeah, amongst other things.
Amongst other things.
It looks like believe it or not, look like little bacon bits, honestly. But it's like little fine, little tiny little granules. But but the way they spice it, it tastes just like bacon. I've had it in wraps before, kale wraps.
I thought it was some kind of like a piece, like a paste-like type of deal.
A little bit, yeah. It's got like a chickpea type of consistency of it, yeah.
Okay, yeah.
Couscous is a grain.
Huh?
Yeah, it's more like whoever said the grain, yeah.
Grain. Okay, grain. That was Rael. You know, Rael don't say nothing, but when he says something, he pack a punch.
Right, that's the quiet man.
Yeah, that's the quiet Kadi. He's the quiet assassin.
Silent efficient killer right there.
Yeah,
SCK.
He gonna be the main one coming back with invoices from the colonizers paying taxes. Hey Tyree, you got some competition with Rael, boy. and by the way, in case y'all didn't know, the brother Marius, he's gonna be he's looking into the Qadi position. So he wants to help the state get to the money under the economic liberty without any inequality.
Better say it.
Yeah. So yeah, he's trying to. Yes. Nobody else show up. It's only my people. They're the only ones who care about me. And then you, every once in a while, there's a scraggler like you.
Oh, don't. You just took me out to the fun, man.
I'm just playing. Where's Sister Makara at, man? Makara ill. Y'all supposed to be establishing a state together. Y'all supposed to be in these classes, man.
Yeah, but Makara is old, man. I ain't looking for Makara to come in here.
Don't say that, man. You on video, man. You on record. I'm putting this on YouTube, and she's gonna hear that. She's an elder. So she's expecting for you to return the information, good brother. So take it in. Islam, Sister Makara. I hope to see you next time.
Sister, you know.
Yeah. Well, these are my peoples. This is AMPAG. Brother Maru, he's the Ajib, and Marius, he's new with us, but he'll be the Kadi. And there's a few others online. Who else? I don't even know who's online. I'm not able to be nosy because I gotta operate the computer and make sure certain things going. But usually I'm paying attention to see who's who and if everybody's online. I keep my eye on the pulse. I keep my fingers on the pulse. But it's what, 23 of us in here right now? Let me see. I don't need 13. Most of them is AMPAG nationals. All right, it's 10 o'clock. It's about getting time. It's about that time to shit it down. You sounded messed up, brother. Say it again. Okay. Any other comments, concerns? Let me take a poll while we at it. We completed the active Algeciras 6 and 7. What's the next treaty are you guys interested in going over? If y'all can give me an idea which way you want to go. The rights of indigenous people, the United States, the United Nations Charter. We can go with any of the Vienna Conventions, the law and treaties, the Vienna Convention on Diplomatic Relations. What do you guys feel in your spirit you want me to go over next, or you all want to go over next?
I think we should do the bouncing back and forth with a treaty, and then something from the UN, so we can put up for a tally, but something from the UN Charter, either the diplomatic relations or the consular relations, or
when you say going back and forth, what do you mean by that? Because keep in mind, I do that basically on Wednesdays. Sundays is typical, is straight treaty with other documents. Yeah.
As far as like from the UN to so we'll do a UN treaty, and then the next time we'll do like the Montevideo.
I did the Montevideo already. That was the first treaty we did. Yeah,
that's right.
So we did, okay, so we did, the first one we did was Montevideo, then after that we did the law of Sankofa, our constitution, and after that we did the Treaty of Madrid, and then we just finished the Act of Algeciras. So we can do the Vienna Convention on the Treaty of Laws, or the Law of Treaties. We could also do, or we can do the diplomatic relations, consular court, okay, I'll tell you what. We'll
court.
What was that?
Diplomatic relations and consular court. That's my vote.
Okay, Fahim. Diplomatic relations on consular court, since he's the only one who answered.
Yeah, I was gonna say the same thing.
You were gonna say the same thing, Haji? It's fine. Well, then we'll do that. Consular court. Diplomatic relations on consular court. So next Sunday we'll be doing diplomatic relations on consular court. And then Wednesday, there's always a surprise. Ain't never no telling what it's gonna be. But we'll be going over something special Wednesday. I'll come up with something. And I think that I'm gonna continue to inject the one chapter of the Circle 7 Quran per session. We got to keep that going, because the Prophet dropped a lot of jewels that coincides with what it is that we're doing. Because see, the Circle 7 Quran is not necessarily a holy book like that. It's actually it's laws. That's why he said these holy and divine laws are from the Prophet. Right there, number 12. These holy and divine laws are from the Prophet. So the Circle 7 Quran is a law book. Would you agree with that, Brother Rael? Because I know Brother Rael be in it. And it's Watson Ali on today.
I'm here.
Oh my God. You've been there the whole time?
No, I wasn't here the whole time.
Oh, okay. I'm glad to hear that, because man, you've been quiet, and I done went over the prophets, and I done went over the Circle 7, the chapter 47, and I ain't heard a peep from you, and you the grand sheep.
Islam, yeah, you know, I would have added my 2 cents to it.
Exactly. That's why I'm like, what's going on, brother?
I ain't nothing to it, man. Just up here visiting mom, man. That's all.
Ain't nothing to that, ain't nothing to it. It's all good, man. But am I right though, good brother? Would you agree that the Circle 7 is a holy is a book of laws?
It is a book of laws.
Exactly.
Yeah, it definitely is. That's what it says right there.
And what is that right now? Number 12. These laws are to be strictly preserved by the members of all the temples. So Islam.
He wrote it.
That's exactly right. And one of the laws is in chapter 1, the very first line. Time never was. Time never was.
So man was not.
All right, thank you. Thank you for finishing up the statement.
Man, at any time, beginning time will come, whatever it end. I was saying, I cannot be circumscribed, you know.
Islam.
Yeah.
Islam. Islam. I self-law and master. With that said, good brothers and sisters, divine mothers and sons, we'll be closing it out for the night. Next Sunday will be the treaty, the Vienna Convention on Consular Court. There's a, what is it called? Don't worry about it. We'll get it done. That's not the full name of it, but we know that's the gist of it. So we'll get it done next Sunday. I had fun today. There was a lot of great questions and participation. Charlemagne didn't say a whole lot. Usually he says a whole lot. I don't know why today he didn't say a whole lot. Maybe he got off early before he was able to say a whole lot. But it's all good. It's all love. You got that brace taken off. That's what's most important. So anyhow, good brothers and sisters, we will chop it up later next Friday, same time, 7:30. Unless something changes, I will let you all know in advance. And peace and love, shalom, ashe, assalamu alaikum. And we will chop it up next week. Islam, peace and love.
Islam, peace and love.
Islam.
Islam, y'all, peace and love. Salute.